listener. Welcome back to our show. Annie, can I ask you something before we start?
That depends. Is it a how was your weekend kind of question or a I need to confess something kind of question?
Somewhere in the middle, honestly.
Okay, go.
Do you ever start a new habit, feel amazing about it for like 3 days, and then just completely disappear from it? Like it never existed?
Jake, that is literally my life. Why do you ask?
Because last Monday, I told myself I was going to do 10 minutes of stretching every morning. Very simple. Very doable.
Let me guess, you did it Monday.
I did it Monday. And I did it Tuesday. And then Wednesday I woke up a little late. So I skipped it. And then Thursday I thought, well, I already missed one day, so...
So Thursday became Friday, became Saturday, became never again.
Exactly. And the weird part is, I didn't even feel bad about missing Wednesday. I felt bad about the whole thing failing. Like once it broke, it just broke completely.
Oh, I know that feeling. You go from I'm doing great to I have no discipline in about 48 hours.
Yes, there's no middle ground.
Welcome to the podcast, everyone. Seriously, though, that thing you just described, that feeling, is something so many people have. And I think it's one of the real reasons habits are hard. Not laziness, not weakness, something more specific.
Which is exactly what we're talking about today.
It is. And hey, if you're listening right now and you just nodded at everything Jake said, you are in the right place.
We're Jake and Annie, and this is English Out Loud, a podcast for English learners who want to improve their English through real, natural conversations.
Each episode, we talk about something from everyday life, and today's topic is habits, specifically why it's so hard to keep the good ones.
And before we dive in, we want to say something to everyone listening. Learning English through listening is one of the most powerful things you can do. Even on days when you feel like nothing is sticking, your brain is still picking up rhythm, tone, vocabulary, and natural sentence patterns.
So don't give up on listening days. They count more than you think.
All right, let's get into it.
So Jake, here's something I've been thinking about. Everyone talks about starting good habits. Drink more water, sleep earlier, exercise, read more.
Yes, the classics.
But nobody really talks about the part where you keep doing those things. Keeping a habit going is a completely different challenge from starting one.
That's so true. Starting feels exciting. You have this fresh energy, a new plan, maybe a new app to track everything.
And then real life shows up.
Real life shows up and suddenly your beautiful plan meets your actual schedule, your actual tiredness, your actual mood at 9 p.m.
And it doesn't look so simple anymore.
Right. And I think there are some patterns, some specific mental traps that make habits fall apart, even when we genuinely want them to work.
Not about information. Like, most people already know what a healthy habit looks like. We know sleep matters. We know movement matters. We know stress affects everything.
Nobody hears vegetables are good for you and thinks this changes everything.
Exactly. The gap is somewhere between knowing and doing. And that gap is mostly in how we think about habits, not just what we do with our bodies.
So today, we want to talk about that gap, the mental side of habits, because we think once you understand a few of these patterns, it becomes a lot easier to build habits that actually last.
And we'll also have our word tour at the end. 5 useful words and phrases from today's episode, explained clearly so you can use them yourself.
Let's start with the big one.
Okay, so the first pattern, and I think this is the one you were describing earlier, is something called all or nothing thinking.
Say more.
All or nothing thinking is when you believe that if something isn't perfect, it's a total failure. There's no in between. You either did it perfectly or you failed completely.
Oh, that's exactly what happened with my stretching.
Right, because you missed Wednesday, your brain decided the whole habit was ruined. But realistically, 2 days out of 3 is still really good.
Morning, Jake knew that. But Thursday, Jake did not care about morning Jake's logic.
And that's what all or nothing thinking does. It takes a small interruption, one missed day, one bad week, and turns it into a story about who you are. I'm someone who can't stick to anything.
Yes. It stops being about the habit and starts being about your identity in a negative way.
Exactly. And once that story is in your head, it becomes really hard to start again. Because now you're not just restarting a habit, you're trying to argue against a belief about yourself.
That's heavy.
It is, but recognizing it helps. If you catch yourself thinking, well, I already ruined it, that's all or nothing thinking, and you can push back on it.
The second reason I think habits break down is that people choose habits that are too intense to actually be sustainable.
Yes, like someone decides they're going to wake up at 5 a.m. every day and run 5 kilometers and meal prep and meditate all at once.
And they do it for a week and feel incredible. And then week 2 arrives, and they're exhausted, and the whole thing collapses.
Because it wasn't sustainable. It looked impressive on paper, but it didn't fit their real life, their real energy levels, their real schedule.
And I think we sometimes confuse challenging with good. Like, if a habit is hard enough, it feels more serious, more real.
But in the long run, a simple habit you actually do beats a dramatic habit you quit after 10 days every time.
In the long run, I love that phrase, because so much of habit thinking is short-term. We want to see results fast. We want to feel different now.
And habits don't really work like that. They work slowly, quietly. You don't notice the change day to day. But in the long run, over weeks and months, the small things add up in ways that actually surprise you.
Like compound interest, but for your daily life.
Exactly like that. A tiny deposit every day doesn't feel like much, but in the long run, it becomes something you genuinely didn't expect.
Okay, third reason habits break down, and this one's a little sneaky.
Tell me.
We fall into the trap of waiting for the right conditions, waiting until we're less busy, waiting until after the holiday, waiting until we feel more motivated.
Oh, the I'll start on Monday trap.
The I'll start when things calm down trap. But things don't calm down. Life just keeps moving. And waiting for the perfect moment usually means not starting at all.
And I think people fall into the trap of thinking motivation comes first, like you have to feel ready before you begin.
But actually it works the other way. Action comes first. The feeling of motivation usually shows up after you've already started.
Which means the moment to start is almost always right now, in the imperfect conditions you have, with the limited time you have.
Smaller than you think is fine. Messier than you planned is fine. Started is what matters.
So let's talk about the other side. If those are the traps, what actually helps?
I think the first thing is making the habit small enough that it feels almost embarrassing.
What do you mean?
Like instead of, I'm going to read 30 minutes every night, you say I'm going to read 1 page. That's it. 1 page.
And the idea is that once you open the book, you usually read more than 1 page.
Right. But even if you don't, even if you only read 1 page, you did it. The habit happened. And that matters more than how much you did.
Because you're training the pattern, not chasing a performance goal.
Exactly. Small and consistent beats big and dramatic. Always.
And this connects to making the habit sustainable. If your habit is small enough that you can do it even on a terrible day, it's sustainable. If it requires perfect conditions, it probably won't survive your real life.
The test I use is, can I do this when I'm tired, stressed, or behind on everything? If no, it's probably too big.
I like that test. The tired version of you is the version you should be designing for.
Not Monday morning full of energy you. Tuesday night after a long day you.
The second thing that helps, and this comes back to the all or nothing problem, is learning how to get back on track quickly.
Yes. The goal is not to never miss a day. The goal is to never miss 2 days in a row.
Because one missed day is a pause. 2 missed days starts to become a pattern.
And getting back on track doesn't have to be a big dramatic restart. You don't need to announce it to anyone. You just do the thing the next day.
Without guilt, without a long story about why you failed. Just, okay, today I'm back.
That's actually harder than it sounds, because there's a part of us that feels like we need to earn our way back, like we should feel worse before we're allowed to feel okay again.
But that feeling is just another version of all or nothing thinking, and it doesn't help anyone get back on track faster.
Self-compassion is a real skill here, and it's not soft, it's practical. People who recover quickly from mistakes are more consistent in the long run than people who punish themselves.
The third thing, and I think this is underrated, is connecting your habit to something you already do.
Like habit stacking.
Yes. After I make my morning coffee, I open my book. Or after I brush my teeth at night, I do 5 minutes of stretching.
So the existing habit acts like a reminder. You don't need extra willpower to remember, the cue is already built in.
And it makes the new habit feel less like an extra thing you have to do and more like part of what you already do.
Which is exactly how habits should feel eventually, not like tasks on a list, but like part of who you are and how you move through your day.
Can I share something kind of embarrassing?
Always.
For most of my 20s, I had this habit of restarting, like I'd commit to something, do it for a few weeks, stop, feel terrible about stopping, and then wait for a new Monday or a new month to try again.
The eternal fresh start cycle.
Yes. And I thought the problem was me, that I was just someone who couldn't follow through, that other people had some discipline I was missing.
And then?
And then I realized I wasn't falling into the habit trap because I was weak. I was falling into the trap of setting habits that were way too ambitious and way too vague. Be healthier. Exercise more. What does that even mean?
Right, that's not a habit. That's a vague aspiration.
So I stopped thinking about big transformation habits and started with things so small they seemed almost silly. A 2-minute walk after lunch, writing 1 sentence in a journal, drinking 1 glass of water before coffee.
And those stuck?
They stuck. And more than that, they gave me a completely different feeling about myself. Instead of I always fail at habits, it became I'm someone who actually does what I say I'll do. Slowly.
That shift in identity is so powerful. It's like the small actions slowly rewrite the story you have about yourself.
And for me, that was the real change. Not the habits themselves, but what consistently doing small things told me about who I was.
That's kind of beautiful, honestly.
Don't get emotional on me, Jake.
I'm not emotional. I'm just thinking about my stretching situation.
Your stretching situation is still recoverable. You know that, right?
I do now. I'm going to do 30 seconds tonight. And that counts.
That absolutely counts. All right, let's do our word tour. These are 5 phrases and words from today's episode that are really useful for everyday English.
Let's start with the one we used most today. All or nothing thinking.
All or nothing thinking means believing that if something isn't perfect, it's a complete failure. There's no middle ground. It's either great or it's ruined. For example, he missed 1 workout and his all or nothing thinking made him quit the whole routine. Or try to avoid all or nothing thinking when you make a mistake. 1 bad day doesn't erase everything.
Repeat. All or nothing thinking.
All or nothing thinking.
Next, a really useful phrase for talking about time and results. In the long run.
In the long run means over a long period of time, not immediately, but eventually. We use it when we're talking about what happens after weeks, months, or years. For example, a simple habit you keep is more powerful in the long run than a perfect plan you quit. Or, it doesn't feel like much today, but in the long run it really adds up.
Repeat. In the long run.
In the long run.
Number 3. Fall into the trap of.
If you fall into the trap of something, you start doing something harmful or counterproductive without fully realizing it. A trap here means a situation that catches you. For example, a lot of people fall into the trap of waiting for the perfect moment to start, or she fell into the trap of doing too much too soon and burned out quickly.
Repeat. Fall into the trap of.
Fall into the trap of.
Number 4. Get back on track.
To get back on track means to return to the right direction after you've lost focus or fallen behind. It's about recovering, not restarting from zero. For example, he missed a few days but got back on track the following week. Or one bad week doesn't mean you're done, just get back on track when you're ready.
Repeat. Get back on track.
Get back on track.
And finally, a word we used a lot today. Sustainable.
If something is sustainable, it means you can realistically keep doing it over time. It fits your actual life, not your ideal life, but your real life. For example, a 10-minute walk every day is more sustainable than a 2-hour gym session you dread. Or, the best routine isn't the most impressive one, it's the most sustainable one.
Repeat. Sustainable.
Sustainable.
And notice something about these phrases. They're not just for talking about habits. You can use them when talking about work, relationships, learning, any kind of long-term goal.
So try using one of them in your own sentence this week. Even just in your head, that's how they start to feel natural.
And that's a wrap on episode 9.
If there's one thing we hope you take from today, you don't have to be perfect to have good habits. You just have to be willing to keep coming back.
After every missed day, after every fresh start, after every week that didn't go as planned, you just come back, quietly, without drama.
And in the long run, that's what changes everything.
This is Jake.
And this is Annie. Thank you so much for listening to English Out Loud. If this episode helped you, please subscribe so you never miss a new one.
And if you want to practice, write one sentence in the comments using any phrase from today's word tour. We'd love to read it.
Take care of your English and take care of yourself. See you in the next episode.